I don't like any of the conversations that people are having about Ebony K. Williams. I don't like any of the conversations people are having. People are still harping over this. She won't date a bus driver. She won't date a bus driver. And she shouldn't date a bus driver. No woman with a net worth of $3 million should be dating a bus driver. And I don't even know why black men fall in this trap, and even black men's cheerleaders, fall in this trap of trying to make the argument that there's something wrong with Ebony K. Williams because she won't date a bus driver, and then we get into all these stupid, oh, well, what if he's a good man, and what if he's got the sweet twinkle of Jesus in his eye, and that's the problem with modern day women is they overlooking good men, and the thing is that's not even Ebony K. Williams' biggest issue. As I posted on my community tab, Ebony K. Williams has daddy issues. And I know that sounds very genetic, but she has daddy issues. And I can read right from what she said. And I strongly hinted at it in my video, but I didn't have the actual context. But I went and I looked for it because I remember that she didn't have her father in her life. I knew that, but I didn't know any of the details of it. And I remember when she made the statement that she wanted to, freeze her eggs and, was looking for a sperm donor to raise a child by herself and be a single mother. And I'm like scratching my head because I'm like, why would you want to do that if you experienced trauma because your father wasn't in your life, but yet you're willing to bring a child into the world without a father? Like, and God forbid, she herself has a daughter that now has to go through literally the exact same thing that she went through. Makes no sense. But this is what, men in general, what we talk about when we talk about the selfishness of women that doesn't get examined. The fact that, they'll sit there and blame everything on men and say, oh, it's because, the fathers are not there. But then they're so willing to bring a child into the world, without a father, just so that they can experience motherhood, right? So everything's the father's fault, for not being there, while at the same time, men are constantly told that fathers are not needed. It's very contradictory, and men are sick and tired of it. But going on to Ebony K. Williams and what she wrote on her Instagram, and I'm just reading, the two quotes that I pulled from the post, but said in an emotional Instagram post on Tuesday, August 24th, I don't know what year this was, Ebony opened up. I think this is a few years ago because she was 37, because I can see that now. But anyway, Ebony, she's 40 now. She was 37 then. So Ebony opened up more about her youth alongside childhood photos. And on my community tab, I put the photo of her at, in standing in front of a whole bunch of trophies in her pageant dress, smiling at the camera. And she wrote, "This little girl never knew who her daddy was, not a name, a picture, or a dress. No father to say he was proud of her. He was proud at her college graduation. No father to walk her down the aisle at her wedding." She wrote, "Absolutely no idea about that entire half of her identity, and therefore she was incomplete." Continuing, "It was a void that persisted for 37 years. I presumed I simply didn't deserve a dad. It made me feel illegitimate and inadequate. Despite the academic achievements, beauty pageants, crowns, professional success, I struggled to feel enough. I was a fatherless child and it hurt." Right? And so this is, in my opinion, why a lot of people just need to back off of Ebony K. Williams and her position. Because with that being said, I know exactly where this is coming from. I've seen other people go through this because a parent wasn't involved, in their life. There's other celebrities that we can point to that have this sort of overachieving, overcompensation, dilemma that unfolds. Like example, the white guy that I tell you all about, the one that said, that he felt black men were cheating the system because of, due to our hyper masculine promotion and all the stuff that we don't need to provide, but he has to provide as a white man in order to, get a woman. Um, he he's the one that, caught the domestic and, had to create a company, and he created a company, and now he's a multimillionaire. But he literally keeps $2 million in the bank account and just sits on it. And that money he will never touch because he just wants to see it in his bank account. Because he grew up in the sticks. I know because I went out to the sticks, and picked him up when we were young and used to go to parties and stuff like that. And I remember his mom was on that. You can borrow the car, but there's no gas in it. And a couple of times, he would literally have to push his car because there was a gas station down the road from his parents' house. He would literally have to push the car into the gas station. His mother would be like, "Oh, you can borrow the," he'd be like, "Mom, I want to take this girl on a date. Can I borrow the car?" And she'd be like, "Oh yeah, you can borrow it after you, do all this miscellaneous, freaking, what would you call it? Embarrassing, type of, just to try to like, put him down type of stuff. You like scrub the bathroom, in between the tiles with a toothbrush type of stuff. Like she used to make him do stuff like that. And so now that he has money, and he went so long without having money, like it's like he's like Scrooge McDuck. He just wants to swim in it, right? So the trauma that his mother induced on him, he still carries with him. Doing, again, this is, it just so happened that, his white mother was one of these controlling mothers and used to, sick his father on him to, you know, beat his ass or whatever. Captain Solo was another one. He went through a whole bunch of trauma. Remember, his, mother was shot 5 times by a second husband. His mother was, light skinned woman dating nothing but dark skinned, self hating dudes. And Captain Solo, here's these light skinned son. And here you got these, cock strong, dark skinned dudes that were basically, they were trying to discipline Captain Solo because, they were trying to teach, a young black man and how to behave or act. No, they were just doing it because they were banging his mom. And so, Cap, shit was so messed up. His father, due to his mother cheating and having a baby by somebody else, he shut down, even though he's got a son out there in the world, moved in with his sisters. And so Cap was out here struggling, trying to make it in the world. His dad would mock him from time to time. Bet you can't pull, $100 out of your pocket. And so Cap didn't get on until he joined General Motors and got a job at General Motors. But even when Cap, this is kind of like the twist to the shit, because even when Cap bought his house and was, had things going on and was basically doing everything that his dad didn't do because his dad shut down, his dad didn't want to come around anymore. Now, this has been pointed out, where being successful actually has the opposite effect when a parent doesn't have a hand in the child's success. Then they don't want to come around because they feel even more ashamed because the child became successful despite them. And so, that creates, it's like a double-edged sword. So the parents feeling some type of way, and then the child's feeling some type of way because the child's like, I achieved and you still won't acknowledge me, So, there's a whole dynamic but I'm not going to go into that. I was talking to a friend of mine whose girlfriend, same situation. She's non-African American, but her parents got divorced. And her parents getting divorced caused her to overcompensate, be an overachiever. And she figured, if I go down this professional route of this professional career, that, because in her community, it was, basically, it was looked down upon to be divorced. Her community doesn't have divorce rates like the African American community. And so the issue is that, she, like Ebony K. Williams, wanted to succeed and, prove herself and everything and get some type of acknowledgement to compensate for, the aspect of, the father not being there, or, in this case of this woman, the fact that her parents were divorced and that frowned upon in her community. But you know where the problem came in? The problem came in is because my friend is very successful. And so the issue was is that she wanted the shine and the recognition and the Jaws music, as Patrice O'Neal said. She wanted the theme music to be about her. But the fact that my friend was so successful, when they would go places, all the attention would go to him. It wouldn't go to her. So in being with him, she didn't get her shine that she fought so hard for in order to compensate for the fact that her parents were divorced. And so that created a problem. And this is rolls right into why, because Cap asked me, because he always thought that it should be about where you're trying to go, not where you were, not where you currently are, but where you're trying to go. And that, people would respect you trying to fight your way out of a hole. This is what Cap thought. And since, I grew up with a better foundation than he grew up, he was like, what is the what is the issue? Like, what goes on with the people that they don't have these problems? They have two-parent homes and a stable. Why do they have to focus so much on they just look at the person and just write them off like, oh, they're fucked up and that's all there is to it. And I tried to explain it to him the best way that I could, because I've been on both sides of the fence. I dated a chick once where, she was dogging a guy that she was previously dating, who, my parents, they were working professionals, and this guy, he just was a street dude. And I remember she said to me, she was like, I was like, why didn't that situation work out? And she said, well, he doesn't come from what we come from. And I had known at this point that her father had a net worth of like $8 million. And I was like, bitch, I don't come from what you come from either. You know what I mean? I know that we're in school together and getting our education, but I don't come from what you come from. You come from some serious paper. You know what I mean? But I guess, she was riding off of the wave of potential, so to speak. Or that the fact that I could articulate myself better than this street guy that she was previously dating. Um, but I've also been on the other side, where I've dated women that came from similar backgrounds to myself, where we grew up in predominantly white suburbs and had educated parents. And for two black people to come together and be with each other, it is refreshing. I'm not gonna lie, because like example, my parents, bought my first car for me, and then upon graduating college, they bought another car for me. A lot of black people don't get to experience stuff like that. It's fairly normal in the white community. When talking about middle class to upper middle class, it's just normal. You know, I drove to high school. Didn't have the absolute best car in high school, but I had a vehicle, right? And I think initially, because my parents thought that I was going to crash a car up, so they didn't want to buy me anything nice until I proved that I wasn't going to crash a car up. But that was pretty normal in high school for people to have. Once you became a senior, pretty much most of the seniors, I'd say 70% of them had cars. But for a lot of black people, especially black people in the city, a lot of them don't have cars. A lot of them don't get cars until they themselves purchase their first car, at like 27. Some people don't even get their license until, they're damn near in their 30s. They don't go out and get their license when they're, 17, or get their permit when they're 16. And it might be just the convenience of the city and you can take public transportation, or the fact that there's no place to park. But, that is an obstacle for a lot of black people. And you got to remember, like 70% of black people are growing up, in split or broken households or single mothered homes and all that. Only 30% of the black community, is on average is are married couples. Right. So I grew up in the minority. So, when you grow up in the minority of the black community, you know, it's very difficult to shame, 70% of a population. You know what I mean? Like I said before, if 80% of students are doing well and only 20% are failing, you can write the 20% off. That's what people do. But if you have a school and 80% of the students are failing and only 20% are passing, now you got to look at the teachers. You got to look at the school, the institution, and all that. All right. And so, it's very difficult for a lot of black people to understand how I grew up. And I've met black women that, come from, working professional type of parents. They can afford things, they have decent jobs, the parents make six figures, and it's refreshing when we can just talk about, oh, my parents bought, our first vehicles, and that's just some normal shit, and we don't have to feel like, or be made to feel like we grew up with a silver spoon in our mouth. We get to, that's like the one time that we get to basically be black Americans that in essence are no different than the experience of, again, white Americans that are in the middle class and upper middle class. Because when you get around most black people just don't have. And if they figure out that you grew up having, they have their ways of letting that nigga, that ain't normal. So, where was I going with this? The upbringing. Why did I bring that up? Um, Hold on a second. Let me gather my thoughts. I forget where I was going with that. But anyway, getting back to the Ebony K. Williams situation. Um, right now, what she's doing, she's getting herself in more trouble than needs be. She's trying to defend herself, and she's going on this, I want black men to be better tour. She went back on the griot and made her statements, and then followed up by Mark Lamont Hill. Then she's doing the tour on, the Breakfast Club, which the clip that I saw was funny because DJ Envy just looked like he was so bored, and Charlamagne just looked like he was so bored. And I'm like, where Ebony is messing up is she's hiding her personal issues behind, you know, I just want black men to be better. Which, yeah, it's like, okay, that's a true statement, and more black men need to be better and all that other stuff. But no, you have daddy issues that you need to go to therapy. See, the problem is all that overcompensating, all that, everything that she said about her winning the pageants, her graduating college, and everything that was supposed to, buck the idea that I ain't shit because my daddy wasn't there in my life. I got a friend going through that shit right now. He works out of state, and you know, his daughter's feeling some type of way because she doesn't see him very often. She sees him like once every 2 weeks on the weekends. That's how much she sees him, and then she's feeling some type of way because the other kids at school, sometimes they're picked up by mommy, sometimes they're picked up by daddy, sometimes they're picked up by both, and she sees that, and she never sees her parents together, and that's affecting her. And I warned him about that, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm just saying, being a parent, I don't know what some people are thinking when it comes to, being a parent. Just on a side note, because a lot of y'all really don't understand, I don't understand it because we were all children and we all went through it. Like, getting that sort of positive reinforcement, being loved, feeling protected, and all that shit is important. And when adults get so caught up in their own whatever bullshit, and they just ignore the kids, like that shit manifests as problems, for the kids in the future. And it causes behavioral issues, it causes psychological turmoil, like what you see with Ebony K, Williams. Yeah, oh, she met her half sister and father. But see, the problem is all those memories of him not being there for the birthday, whatever, the financial support, her, not being there for the graduation, I mean, she didn't get married, but the idea of him walking her down the aisle, she couldn't comfortably have that idea in her head. Like, all that stuff is still affecting her. And the thing is, and this is the, like, one of the, going back to the conversation with Captain Solo about, why other people, don't, deal with that, or why they can't respect, the person. Because a lot of times the person is beyond beyond repair. And I dare say that Ebony K. Williams is at that point. I mean, it's just unfortunate. I mean, at 40 years old, a lot of men, even though she still looks good, but a lot of men like this woman is not in her prime. And you know how men feel about that when it comes to women and fertility and all that other stuff, because the biological clock is ticking and whatnot. Like men are pretty harsh when it comes to, age. And it's like, damn, 40 years old, she looks good. It's not like nobody was checking her for her because she's unattractive. I mean, wasn't she engaged to the white dude for like 4 years? What happened with that? Why doesn't she have any smoke for the white male community since she was over there playing in the snow? But she wants to, mask all her trauma and issues with her daddy behind what black men aren't doing. And then I'm not even going to put on the whole truck driver thing on, you know, what is it? Inyala Van Zants. She got the weirdest damn name in the world, because I keep saying Ayala because that makes more sense. But anyway, it's not the way it's spelled. But I'm saying, like I said, that woman is too old. She's a feminist herself, and I'm an alpha female, and all this dumb shit. She's saying, and it's like, why are you bringing up like this woman has net worth of $3 million? I'm just saying, going off of Google. You know what I mean? I'm like, why the hell are you bringing up a truck driver? Like, you could have brought up, at the very least, you could have went with somebody who's a professional, just as educated as her. Like, why wasn't that the starting point? But since, Miss Van Zants wanted to throw truck driver up there, now the internet's going crazy and they're focused on this bullshit. No, let's focus on the fact that her father wasn't there and how damaged she is. She needs therapy. But here's the sad part, because, and this is why a lot of people, I was explaining this to Kat, why a lot of people don't deal with people who they identify as having problems if they don't have those sorts of problems. This goes male or female. You know what I mean? Like these people, like people who don't have those problems, they don't want to deal with those problems. They can't enjoy you because you don't know how to turn it off. And Ebony K. Fane, I mean, not Ebony K. Fane, Ebony K. Williams doesn't know how to turn it off. I was thinking Aisha K. Fanes, but Ebony doesn't know how to turn it off. We can talk, she already met her father. Okay, now you know who your father is. And I mean, the way that she spazzed on that Griot clip where she's like, I will not go without. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who said you need to go without? Where did that come from? You see, there's other shit going on, in her head. Maybe she saw her mom go without, whatever it may be. But here's the problem, like with the not being able to turn it off. And again, even with Cap, like Cap got accused so many times, growing up, that, it's like, what they would say, you're like 19 going on 30. And it's because all the shit he went through, his mother getting shot, her being with abusive men, him having to, at 16, escape the house, get all the, his wife, excuse me, not his wife, his mother and his sister out of the house with the turtle in the hamster, got all living things out of the house. You know what I mean? Snuck, got the car keys, went out the house, his stepdad drunk in the garage, tires slashed, and he backed the car out of the garage, told his mother and his sister to run through the backyard, through the neighbor's house on the other side of the street, and he would pick them up on the other side. And that even created a bunch of turmoil between Captain Solo and his mother because, she was still trying to treat him like a little boy. And it's like, no, I pulled you out of the fire. That is the end of that shit. I saved your ass. You treating me like I'm just some little boy. That's the end of that shit. And this was Captain Solo at 16 years old. His mother couldn't handle, that their relationship has now been forever changed. You see. But again, because Cap never had that childhood, he was never able to just be carefree. All through his 20s, he was super ultra serious about getting on his feet. And a lot of the young women, in that age group when he was a young man, they were all about having fun, and their fathers were buying them cars and stuff, and he's working at Burger King with his paper hat and shit like that, and the women were coming through on some Calvin shit. They come through in their cars, and he working at Burger King, talking about, well, I have a car. And he's like, bitch, I'm not getting in your car. Fuck that. Because, again, this was the 80s. Captain Solo was light skinned dudes were in. So you could imagine the number of black women that were coming at him, when he was, in his 20s, going, from the late 80s to the early 90s. You could imagine. And he didn't have his shit together. And they were ready to sit on his cock. And he was like, no, because he recognized, the type, he recognized the position that, that a man is in from a very early age, when the women have the resources and the women have the power. You're the little toy thing. And he wasn't about to be that. You see, and so he carries that with him. And a lot of women that just wanted to, just be free and just enjoy, oh, it's a good looking guy. And, they wanted him to spit game and stuff like that. He wasn't about to, he didn't have time to bullshit. He's like, look, I don't have a support system. I don't have a landing pad to go back to. All bridges are burned. Again, Captain Solo was homeless at one time, lived underneath a bridge at one time, slept in his car, going to the, to the plant and shit. Took his truck, parked in a park, and woke up to a female police officer tapping on his window, and it had two other male officers show up. And then not only that, gave him a citation. He went to court, and apparently I guess he just looked like Christopher Williams or whatever light-skinned sexy motherfucker it was of the day that, this black female judge that he had, even his father, who came to court with him, couldn't believe the summons that he got. I think it was his father or his uncle said, man, you just got the wrong face, because the judge threw the book at him. I guess she had dated a light-skinned dude and was like, yeah, I know your type. You light-skinned pretty motherfuckers always think that you gonna get over because of your good looks. And she threw the book at Cap, all because of how he looked. And the men in his family was like, man, you just got the wrong face, man. You look like some dude that just ripped the judge's heart out. But I'm just saying, these are the type of things that Captain Solo, went through, all, because his family wasn't doing the right thing. And then, he had these, dashing good Christopher Williams looks. And he's like, fuck that pretty boy shit. I'm trying to survive out here. I'm trying to, get on. I'm trying to, do what needs to be done. All right. But not without getting into the matriarchy and the fact that, a lot of black women couldn't handle a black man actually having his shit together. That created, Captain Solo didn't have any time to, to play around. And, Ebony K. Williams, when you get somebody, whether it's Ebony K. Williams, Captain Solo, the white guy that I know that has, all his issues and stuff, with keeping money in the bank, even, who's the other woman we were just talking about, Captain Solo and I were talking about, what's her name? Damn, Kenya Moore. But see, Kenya Moore, she's got an issue with her mother, because her mother basically gave her up pretty much for adoption to her grandmother, and her mother to this day still won't acknowledge her as her daughter, and she's psychologically and emotionally messed up about that. And she went and married this dude and had a baby and all that other stuff. But like, I have to emphasize this, because this is a key component of all of this, and why a lot of times these people that are damaged end up being a problem. I don't want to condemn them, but why they end up being a problem for people who don't know how to deal with other people's issues like that, or aren't willing to accept it. Because, like, example, Ebony K. Williams said when she was on the show with Inyala, she said, I've never been provided for or taken care of. And I'm like, and this is where I get frustrated with black women, because I'm like, there's no way for you to be taken care of. Even getting past the, she should date a bus driver. Getting past that. The problem for Ebony K. Williams is that she's like a runaway train. She's never going to stop trying to achieve because she wants recognition and validation and the spotlight and all that. Just like she sat up there on The View and addressing, Governor DeSantis, and she was like, oh, what did she say? She was like, how much time do we have? And then started going, and I have an honorary doctorate, and I have a law degree that I don't even use, and I'm this and I'm that, and I'm just like, oh my God, you just gotta let the world know. I'm like, you want that recognition. Like, she's still damaged from her father not being there. And you got to think about it. 40 years of her being locked into this mode of trying to prove herself to the universe or her demons or whatever. There's no way that she's going to be able to fall back and be a wife and be taken care of. Because when you're being taken care of and you're being provided for, as much as many black women out here will complain about that, you can't simultaneously get recognition. Recognition requires acts and deeds. Recognition requires you to go out there and do things. You see? But the reality is men don't look, women that are doing things, women that are going out there and getting it, men don't sit there and look at her and go, I must provide and protect her. No, they look at those women and they say she can get it herself. They don't feel needed with women like that. And then this is another problem that Ebony K. Williams, will have, because, even looking at high value men that make it to the peak, let's just say a man that has $3 million net worth, like she supposedly does. Why would he want to date Ebony K. Williams? This goes back to Omarion that everybody was ripping on over, a couple of weeks ago. Oh, he's just so disgusting. He's 40 and he's with a 19-year-old. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cringe. It's kind of cringe. I'm like, damn, like 25, that would have been cool. But no, gotta go down to fucking 19, But everybody was beating him up because of what he was saying. But when you look at what he was saying, he was talking about the women my age, the women who are 40, they got a whole bunch of baggage and other shit going on. And Ebony K. Williams is a shining example of what Omarion was talking about. And I'm saying whether it's, for a woman that has issues with her father or, because that could be happening to any woman. I shouldn't use that. But I'm just saying, in other words, you've been on this planet for twice the amount of time as Omarion's wife. So you have exposure to twice the amount of the trauma, bullshit, dating scene, all that other stuff, especially when you didn't get off the dating market and you're still on the dating market at 40 years old. So again, she's dated white dudes, she's divested, she's all that. See, that's the thing. Like, see, I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, when you've gone outside the community and over the fence and it still hasn't worked, why are black men in your mouth at that point? Why are you saying anything about black men at that point? Now, she might just be saying it because black men are coming at her because they jumping on this bandwagon about, oh, she won't date a blue collar guy. Look, even I struggle with telling black men that it's about the money and they need to focus on money and that they should not be, dating up. Even I struggle with that. We are, as black men, we are fucked up on that front. I cannot, stand here and deny that. But like I said, when black women go, yeah, the black men are fucked up, y'all fuck them up. Because whenever I try to get young black men to focus on money and power, there's always some black woman, some feminist in there that doesn't want a black man to realize that money, the importance of money and power, just like strong, independent black women do, and they will sabotage, his mindset. only to complain about the outcomes of him having this sabotaged mindset later on, and then blame it like it's some innately intrinsic thing that's a defect in black men, when I'm like, you all push this. You know what I mean? Black women push role reversal just as much as black men do. So sometimes I'm like, I don't know why y'all just can't get together and be happy. If y'all claiming that's what you want, the power position, this is what comes with the power position. You want the bitch position, this is what comes with the bitch position. What the fuck are y'all complaining about? You know what I mean? But um anyway, I'm saying, going back to the Ebony K. Williams shit. Like, no, think about it. Think about all the clips that you've seen of Ebony K. Williams and everything that she's saying and talking, bragging about how awesome she is and everything. Do you honestly think that that woman could literally sit in a chair and just be coy and be taken care of? I'll give her a man making $10 million. Guarantee she gonna fuck it up. She's gonna fuck it up because again, she can't stop. She can't stop because the damage has already been done to her. It's sad, attractive woman, but the damage has already been done to her. Unless she goes out there and seeks some serious therapy, and I'll leave the window open that maybe she could get some therapy, resolve these issues, and finally discover, her true feminine. You know what I mean? But her running around being angry and bitter and everything else, and when shit didn't even work over the fence with Brad, I'm like, you got to look in the mirror. This is the whole problem with overly ambitious women, especially those that are overcompensating because there's other issues in the background, which are, again, the issue that she has, with her father. That the fact that he wasn't there, and this need to validate herself through achievements, beauty pageants, academic success, career success, all that stuff. She's not going to stop. She's not going to stop. And then eventually she'll wake up like Tracy Ellis Ross and then be writing articles talking about, where did the time go? Basically right up there with Claudia Jordan. That's what's going to happen to her. It's sad. It's not anything that I'm like, yeah, that's what that bitch deserves. No, because we don't, like I said before, man, we don't pick our parents, man. It's not her fault that that her father wasn't there. It's not her fault that her mother chose her father. Got pregnant by a man that wasn't around. I don't even know what the reason this man wasn't around. All we know is he wasn't around. And it affected her. That is not her fault. But it goes back to what Kevin Samuels said. It's like, you may, it may not be your fault, but, it is your responsibility to fix your issues. I'm with Ebony K. Williams on, no, she don't need to be dating no bus driver. But I'm telling you, even if you gave her a dude that was kicking ass, she would most likely mess it up. Because a guy like that, he, unless they're just aligned, and this is where women get these stupid ideas of, yeah, I'm power couple and everything. I'm like, that's not what most of these successful men want. The most successful men don't go out here and say, oh yeah, I want to be a power couple. They're not thinking that. A lot of times men are like, I'm successful and I want a bad bitch that's supportive, cooperative, down for the team that I can rely on. You know what I mean? I call, I say, hey, babe, I'm at this business meeting in LA. I forgot, my whatever, could you send me the files? It's on my laptop, and she does it. You know what I mean? I have seen the wives of these men who are businessmen and stuff like that. I have seen their wives, like, shit they forgot. And, she's sending a suitcase full of stuff, to an address, obviously, it's his money, but I'm saying she's doing it. She's packing it. She's taking it to the FedEx. She's, doing all that stuff. She's doing it. You know what I mean? Oh, I was going to go to the hair salon. Oh, no, hold on. Your father needs this. And she's out there because she's a team player. You know what I'm saying? The men are looking for team players. They're not looking for a woman that wants you to get aboard on her ship. Ebony K. Williams is looking for somebody to complete her. And that's the whole problem with a lot of these strong, independent black women. We don't complete you. You know what I'm saying? You all come into our space. I don't want to say y'all complete us, but I'm saying if I was going to say that, that would be the proper orientation. We don't complete you. You know what I mean? The women are out here on some, I got my career, I got my job, I got my this, and now it's time for me to get a husband. When you don't even propose to dudes. And you ain't even trying to propose to dudes because you want the validation of a man wanting you and saying that you are the woman that he wants to be with for the rest of his life and raise his children and so on and so forth. But you ultra career oriented women, no, men are not looking for y'all. They're not. And the only thing that many of you all can do is go out there and get a man that's less ambitious than you. He doesn't have to be a bus driver. All he has to be is less ambitious than you. And it's like, I hope y'all are cool with that. But y'all have like schizophrenia when it comes to that. You know what I mean? The only men that are going to get on board your ship and get with your program are men that are beneath you. And a lot of you all are unwilling to accept that. A lot of you all, you want the alphas. You want the man that's out here with, the CEO corporation, multiple businesses, multimillionaire. You want him, to choose you and then somehow play equality or second fiddle to you. That's not going to happen. You don't have a bigger penis than he has. You know what I mean? But a lot of y'all, again, women like Ebony K. Williams, they're gonna have that mentality, and they're gonna tell themselves, we're equally yoked. We're equally yoked. That's what they're gonna tell themselves. And it's like, why would a dude, out of all the women that he could have, everything from a woman exactly on his level, all the way down to, a waitress at a restaurant, who all women, that whole spectrum of women, that you could have women who are more cooperative, women who are more submissive, women who are generous and compassionate and loving, women who are prettier, I mean, there's a whole list. Women who are younger, there's like a whole list. Why wouldn't he choose from that? Because all of those women, as we all know, 100% of women only want to date the top 10 and 20% of dudes. So he has the world is his oyster. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to that saying, for men, for women the sky is the limit. For men the limit is the sky. In terms of dating, if a man can financially position himself in the appropriate place. I have to emphasize this. I really wish you all would stop harping, everybody from Mr. Let Go to Shay Sade to, a whole bunch of other, people that are in this manosphere space. It's not about whether she would or wouldn't date. No, again, unless you're advocating for role reversal. You know what I mean? I don't know why brothers are online, talking about the patriarchy and the return of the kings and this, that, and the third. And then as soon as you get a successful woman, first thing out your mouths is she needs to date down. I'm like, you're not making any sense, dude. I will be the first one to admit, when it comes to these super successful, ambitious women and shit, I don't have an answer for them. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to sit up here and say you need to date down, because I direct you to the conditions of a black community nearest you. We already know where that gets us. So why would I advocate for that? I would just I just look at them and give them a salute. Captains recognize other captains, and good luck. I wish you the best. That's it. That's all I can say, because I don't care how successful it is. I don't care how lonely she is. I'm not going to sit up in here and tell a woman that she needs to date down. Fuck is wrong with y'all? But, as it pertains to, this whole situation with Ebony K. Well, these are daddy issues. These are daddy issues that have, transformed into, overcompensation of trying to prove herself. And the issue is going to be for her that Aside from her being 40 years old, but the issue for her is primarily going to be you don't know how to turn it off. Captain Solo doesn't know how to turn it off. He acknowledges, his shortcomings and where he's fucked up. He's like, I can't turn it off, man. The shit I went through as a child, I can't turn it off. Bill Burr, he made a joke, about, with his wife. He acknowledges he's got a short fuse, got a short temper. You know what I mean? It's like, he was pointing that out. And he was like, he's like, but it's the audacity of her to act surprised. Like, what you married, who I was when we got together. You married a man with a short fuse. You married a man that gets irritated and shit like that. He made a joke talking about, him wanting to, his daughter was getting, her first shots at the doctor, and her daughter cried, and he wanted to punch the doctor in the face. You know what I mean? So he's like, hey, can't be here. I need to go to the drum store and check out some instruments or some shit like that. And I can't be here. So he recognized his own shortcomings and he took himself out of the space. But again, he was making the point, like, the audacity for you to act surprised, speaking about his wife. So, a lot of therapy, and me, I'm not one to be like therapy, because it sounds like such a non-answer. And I know how a lot of black people are anti-therapy, and a lot of us shouldn't be like that, especially if we have a lot of these real deep-seated, issues. Like, you heard the video that I did, with the brother, down there in Florida, the one whose mother won't tell him who, his father is. And the one that talked about, his mom going out with the boyfriend and he hasn't eaten anything, and they come back from, Outback picking steak out of their teeth and shit. And he's over there, hungry, like Beanie Siegel said, eating sleep for dinner. So, and then the way that, his mother, because it's almost the same thing that happened with Captain Solo's sister. Bottom line, because the man or actually, no, I take that back, because he did get killed. His father got killed. No, was his father got killed? Who got killed? Somebody got killed. I don't know if it was his father that got killed. Who got killed? Somebody got killed. It was one of the men that she was messing with got killed. And she won't tell him who his father was. And damn, I gotta get the story. I gotta go back and watch that video because I totally forget the story. I don't want to screw it up, but I totally forget the story. All I know is the mother won't tell him who the father was. So I'll just leave it at that, because I can't remember exactly what the story was. But y'all can go back and go to that video. That's the one where it shows the image of the street dude smoking, he lighting a blunt. That one. Go and listen to that one. I forget what the title was. It was something about black boys being unwanted or something like that. I forget what the title was. Can't remember off the top of my head. But he acknowledged that, he had a lot of issues. And hell, talking to me, even doing the interview, that shit helped him get through a lot of shit. Talking it out, opening up to, another black man like that, you'll hear him in the video. He's like, man, you the only person that showed me the way and shit like that. That it was, calling me out on some of the shit that he was doing that he knew was detrimental, but he's in the streets. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can say about the Ebony K. Williams situation. I just think everybody's just going way off in the Dumbville. This is the whole problem with the grift, and the way that the grift only grabs on certain topics. They won't talk about like what I'm saying now, this ain't no ooh, isn't this exciting and some monetizable shit, and let me put some stupid fucking surprise face, logos up on to get more clicks and more likes and more subs, and it's These are the real issues that we got in our community, both male and female. Because quiet as is kept, the boys are just as fucked up when their fathers are not there. Again, I'll relink the video so you can hear the pain in his voice and what he went through as a child. You got to remember, kids are fucking helpless, man. The kids don't ask to be brought here. When the parents fuck up and they just do that, and that's why I always have a level of compassion, for my people, even when people say, oh, black people, oh, they fucked up and this, that, and third. Aside from white supremacy having its foot on our neck and all the shit that socioeconomically has negatively affected us and all the problems that we got from that, but then you have the whole thing where you get hurt people, and you got people who, it's like, why did you bring the kids here in this situation? The child is innocent. Now they got to go through all this drama, all this bullshit. And then when, they just can't take it anymore and they go out here and they do some bullshit that gets them caught up, then everybody just goes, oh, they ain't shit. That's all she wrote. Personal responsibility. That's why they did this. They made a choice. They made a decision. But then nobody wants to examine the fact that the parents, fucked them up. And nobody wants to hold parents accountable and all this other stuff. I'm like, nah. And y'all know people like this. People that they're damaged, but it wasn't their fault why they're damaged. You know what I mean? Like, they're dysfunctional, but it's not their fault. You were like, yo, I watched that child go through hell. So now that there's some angry ass black man running around toting a gun, ready to pop a motherfucker off of any sort of insult, like while everybody's going, oh, that he's a piece of shit and all this other stuff, where it comes from. You know what I mean? Mom's on drugs, dad's in jail. You know what I mean? Fucking, he was left to raise his siblings. So he went out there and got it out the mud and started selling drugs and all that other stuff, and then got caught up and then caught a felony. And now he's like stuck in that world and shit like that. Cops is fucking with him because, every time he gets pulled over, they see his record and now they, oh, let me search the car, all this shit. Then he gets thrown back in jail again. And then, you know what I mean? And the motherfucker just angry and just ready to pop off. And then when he does, then the argument is, oh, another black men and they do this and they do that and they're violent and blah. And then somebody's making some divester argument. And I'm like, he didn't put his mom on drugs. She was already on drugs when he came into the world. He didn't put his father, in prison. His father was, in prison, put away in prison when he was 3 years old or some shit like that. It's not his fault. And then people want to act like, that are not in a situation like that, like they got all the answers. Oh, please, if my mother was on crack cocaine and my father got thrown in jail, I would just apply myself in school and go to Harvard. With what level of support? You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers out here just they get delusional. You know what I'm saying? And don't get it twisted. Like, I have my own frustrations with my own people. Sometimes motherfuckers are just on some bullshit. It's like that you just doing some dickhead shit just to be a fucking dickhead. Right? And you got to slam them about that. But you still got to, like, put shit in context. You still got to look at it like, all right. What did this motherfucker? Okay. And most of the time, if you talk to somebody, you'll find this shit out. You'll find this shit out. You'll find out that their behavior just doesn't come out of the void, doesn't just come out of nowhere, like how white people do in 9/11. Those Arabs, they hate us because they hate our freedom. They hate who we are as Americans. Really? That's why they slammed those planes into the buildings, because they hate your freedom. Like they were just sitting over there in Saudi Arabia watching the TV going, they're those Americans with their goddamn freedom. I doubt it. I highly doubt that that's why they decided that they were going to fly some planes into some buildings. You know what I mean? But they I see white people, Fox News, they'll do the same, they'll do this shit with black people like that all day. They're just like that. That's all there is to it. That's all she wrote, folks. That's all she wrote. It does nothing to solve the problem. You know what I mean? Like, I see people do that shit all the time. Oh, these white boys are shooting up schools because they're all incels and that's what it is. And I'm like, no. Let's look at it from a different angle. Let's look at it from, Again, like the white guy said, was talking about, uh, where he said, black guys are cheating the system. What the way that it looks to them, we had 8 years of a black president. What it looks like to them, for these young white men, that white men are being emasculated, and that black guys are all over the television, and all the Kardashians are with black men, and there's all this street stuff, and hyper masculinity, and black men have that, and the women are going for it, and what do we have? And we're being told that we're racist, and we're being told that we're misogynistic, and that we're the ultimate oppressors, and all this other shit, right? And the motherfucker was born in 1997 or some shit like that. He's like, I didn't do any of this shit. Like, I just so happen to be born white. And that's how they view the shit. Right? So again, even as a black man that hates white supremacy, I can understand why a freaking 20-something-year-old white boy would be mad at the world and shit like that. I could totally understand it, especially, throw on if he grew up in a poor working class neighborhood and everybody's talking about white privilege and he has none of it. Oh, please. I totally would understand why, a white guy like that is, feels that way. But again, notice how, what white boys you never see shoot the place up. What white boys you never do? The ones that are ingratiated with black culture, the white boys with the line up. You notice that? You never see them. Because one, the black community typically embraces them, and they I don't know. It's like having proximity to the black experience helps them navigate and understand the world and how shit really plays out a little bit more. I've just noticed that. No, I'm just saying. Where are these wiggers shooting up the place? You don't see that. What you see is these all-American white boys shooting up the place. Isn't that an interesting point? Now that I said it, thinking about it, I'm like, why is that? You don't see the white dude wearing Jordans and Marc Ecos shooting the place up. I guess the closest thing would be the white dude that was in Chicago, the one with the Kel-Tec, the 2000 that was shooting the parade up. But like, I don't know. He looked more emo to me, but I'm just saying that would probably be the closest. But the rest of them, they're like these middle America white dudes that don't even interact with minorities. Maybe that's a part of it. The fact that they're not interacting with minorities. They don't, they just have this whatever white experience. But anyway, I'm getting way, 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 way off topic. But you know how I end my videos. Yeah, my whole thing is I would just leave Ebony K. Williams alone. Like, in other words, I don't get hype when I know exactly where, all this energy is coming from. I like with her, I know exactly where this, I'm like, this daddy issues, man. Daddy wanting to have a baby, by yourself, everything that she said in that piece. You were with a white guy and you were engaged. That didn't work out. And now you're going to try to pivot and then say, I just want black men to do better. You're going to get up on the Breakfast Club and say, oh, I just want black bullshit. That's cap. Nah, you got unresolved daddy issues. And, and it just, everything just so happened to culminate to, the dating market and that whole notion of hyper competitive, hyper, what's the word that I'm looking for? Hyper competitive, hyper, not productive. What's the word that I'm looking for? It's just slipping my mind. Overly ambitious woman, that's not conducive to the dating market right now. Because you have these movements of patriarchy and all that, and it's not just men's fault. I hate when women try to make the patriarchy and everything else like that. I'm like, but y'all sure love some patriarchal responsibility. Y'all sure love to talk about where men are inadequate and what they should be doing and what they need to be doing. And if you were a real man, they love to say that. But then as soon as men start talking about the leadership and the control that comes along with it, then y'all say, misogyny, this is sexism, It's funny because none of the patriarchal responsibility is sexism. All of that is that's what you all niggas should be doing, and I haven't been provided or protected, and all right. That like Ebony K. Williams said, right? But I'm like, but whose program are you going to get with and submit or acquiesce to receive protection and provision? See, you get these women, they want to have it. I want it all. I'm like, you don't get it all. You don't get it all. Like, I don't know. I don't know what goes through women's minds that who think like I'm going to see a woman with some big ass muscles, you know what I mean? And she's, lifting shit. She looks like she's like a bodybuilder, and we're at Home Depot and she's just lifting, plywood and shoving it in the trunk and picking up heavy ass tools. She putting a saw on the back of the car and everything else like that. What makes you think that I would look at her and be like, oh, do you need help, ma'am? Like, what makes you think that if she's lifting all that weight? You know what I'm saying? And the same thing goes for when women have financial muscle. What makes you think that I would say, on top of the fact that if she's got all that financial muscle, it's like, if I'm not on that level or above, what could I possibly offer her? Why would I think that I would have anything to offer her? Especially with all the shit women be talking about, dusties and trash bag dusties and niggas ain't on my level and everything. A lot of you all have talked yourself into being single. You have talked yourself into a corner where the men who are aware are now like, nope, can't talk to her unless I got my shit together, which I think is actually the better way to think. But see, y'all never did think that how lonely you would be, in the meantime, or how long it actually takes men to get themselves together to surpass just being at the just being equal to you. You know what I mean? That whole task, just as we talk about, the hardest thing to do in the black community is to create economic opportunities that would provide economic opportunities for others. You know what I mean? Sitting there and I got a business. I opened up an LLC. Yeah, that's easy to do. But to generate enough profit to where you can pay a young man $80,000 or something that actually supports a family, right? So that he can purchase a home and all, basically all the shit that GM, did as a major, industrial institution, right? Like, that's not easy. It takes, Kevin already covered this, way back when, it takes 10 years to really hone your skills to get into, that, well above 6-figure range. Whether you started a business, whether you, started a career, you know what I mean? If you go and you look at jobs for senior positions, usually those senior positions say 10 plus years experience. That's what it takes. Now, we can argue about that being the old model, and you could go over there and do the Andrew Tate model and you could make $1 million, yesterday. You know what I mean? Like, we can talk about that. Yeah, the markets have changed and whatnot, but I'm just saying, on average, that's what it takes. So when women sit there and say, I'm not waiting and all this other shit, I'm like, first off, that's why it was always set up where women were dating slightly older men. You were dating men who were 5 to 7 years older than you. So a woman could be, freaking what, 23 years old, 24 years old, 25 years old and marry a man, that was in his early 30s. Who was now comfortably in his career because he's already been graduated. He's already been in the workforce. He's already been stacking his bread. So now that the woman, where she's at her biological peak and the man is financially established, now they can go off and they can start a family. But for some stupid reason, that has disappeared. And, women, I don't know. I don't even know whether women do or don't want to date older men, but it just seems like that's not a part of the conversation. But that's how it is in many different cultures. But now we got this The woman is 29, the guy is 31. That's basically the same age. Where, go back to the Victorian age or whatever. And the guy was always older than the woman because it takes time to get established like that. That takes time. Women can go off and they can have a basic career and be like, I'm making money. But the man, he's got to go out there and have a career that is able to take care of her and take care of future children. That's a higher bar. Not just, so that, men can go out there and they can make, I have a nice car, I got a nice apartment, and I can go and get drunk every weekend at the bar and spend $200-300 at the bar. Men could do that, but that's still not taking care of family money. And y'all say that y'all want hypergamy and we want to date a man that's making, more than we can, that got more to offer than we can offer ourselves. I'm with you 100%. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, do you understand that takes time? And if you don't want to wait, well, then I suggest that you look at slightly older men who are already in that position. But I don't know. Somehow we got away from common sense when it comes to like how you actually effectively navigate the dating markets. People have gone out here and put all these stupid ideas out here, and now, people have wasted a lot of time listening to stupid ideas. And now they're not in their peak or they're not in their prime, or with the dudes, they wasted time thinking it's not about the money, and the older that you get, the more it is about the money. I mean? Being 22 and being broke, some people will tolerate that. They'll be like, he'll get his stride. His shit will come through. You know what I mean? But being 40 plus and broke, oh no. That's intolerable. To be a man child, that's intolerable. You see? And I don't know why some of these older guys don't tell young men that. Like, you don't have time to waste, brother. But anyway, I know I went off on a tangent. I just needed to share my thoughts with y'all on this. Again, y'all need to just stop. Like, I'm not even entertaining that shit. I'm not entertaining Ebony K. Williams dating a bus driver or anybody that has not surpassed her when, again, she has achieved so much. And on top of that, like you got to understand that because of her overcompensation and her overachieving, you see what I'm saying? She can only be with a man that has also overachieved. Now, the question is she going to be able to be what the man wants her to be if she were chosen? Personally, I don't think so, because I think she's got too many issues that stem from her father not being there. But I'm just saying the starting point would be to be with a man in that type of position. But at 40 years old, I don't know many men that are in that type of position other than the ones that, are divorced or older or don't want to have kids, that would be looking at a woman like Ebony, K. Williams. And she clearly has made the point that she wanted to have kids. She's, this is that Lolo Jones shit. You know what I mean? Like, out here, I love Jesus and I'm going to wait till marriage. And even Lolo Jones has acknowledged that killed the dating market for her. Telling people that shit out loud. What the fuck are you doing telling people that shit? And again, people got to recognize the only people, truth be told, if you're on some wild out there shit that is not the norm for most of the population, you gotta recognize that you're only going to be able to date people that have the same radical beliefs that you have. Most people are not waiting till marriage. Most people out here are fornicating. So if you're running around, I'm waiting till marriage and everything, most men are they're gonna bye, bitch, bye. Despite all the shit they talk. I'm looking for virgins and blah 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 blah. No, they're not. Bullshit. That's cap. That's cap. A woman might really be worth it if a guy's like, oh man, virgin, Yeah, some guys may really, 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 really want that, but most of the ones that say that they do aren't willing to put in the time and put in the commitment to actually be with a virgin. I've done it before. I've taken what, two women's virginity? I've been with two women and took their virginity. And I waited. I played the long ball. I played long ball on the second one that I took her virginity because she friend zoned the fuck out of me, and I was like, okay. I was like, all right, and I was just consistent. People say, oh, it was simping, but I wanted her, but I was consistent. I was just, you know, every time. I think she had a boyfriend at the time. That motherfucker was fucking up. He was dropping the ball. I remember she got her car like broke down the side of the road. She was calling him. He wouldn't pick up. Here I come. Meep meep. Literally like that. Meep meep. You know what I mean? She was like, "Oh my God, you're my hero." Next thing you know, not that was. I was kind of like being a good guy, but I kind of had like evil intentions, if I'm being honest about it at the same time. I was like, yeah, got this motherfucker now, right? But anyway, I'm just saying, I went through all that, and it wasn't until, and I talked about this before, it wasn't until she saw me with some other women that I was just friends with that all of a sudden she conjured up all these feelings and was like, oh my God, I don't want him being with them other bitches. You know what I mean? Like she did not want. And even after that, I still had to wait. She still was, innocent and uncomfortable with the idea of sex and all that other stuff. So we had to ease into it and everything else. You know what I mean? But she didn't realize she liked me until she, oh yeah, I'm using him. Oh yeah, okay. I don't even trip off of that shit because let me just say this, because I love one thing I learned from Captain Solo. I'm gonna tell you, I get a kick out of it. I love being able to say, "Well, no rape and pillage here. You had a good time. We had fun, took you out, blah blah blah. Wasn't no rape and pillage here. Wasn't no disrespect. Wasn't no calling you out of your name. Wasn't no rape and pillage here. You know what I mean? Even if you don't even get as far to have sexual relations with a woman, like just the whole, you know, I was nothing but good to you, and if you treated me like shit, hey, that's on you. That ain't no sweat off of my back. You know what I mean? Because and the reason why I get a kick out of it, let me just say this. The reason why I get such a kick out of that is because of the complaints that women file. Because women will file men are dogs and men are this and rape and pillage and blah blah blah. They file all those fucking complaints. So I love being the antithesis of that because there ain't gonna be a woman running around talking about, you know, Pete disrespected me, Pete violated me, Pete, rape and pillage. You know what I mean? I would love to have a woman, try to talk some shit on me. She'd be up there, okay, so what happened? And I'm saying it's either I broke up with her or she broke up with me. But I would love to see one try to go, it was rape and pillage. And they sit up, oh, so what happened? So he called you out of your name? No. He put hands on you? No. He wasn't spending any money on you? No, not that either. So what happened? Why are you filing a complaint? You know what I mean? I don't know. I just didn't get what I wanted out of it. And so I'm like, well, no rape and pillage. I mean, I get a kick out of that shit. I'll be the first one to tell you, I get a kick out of that shit. And as long as I've known Captain Solo, I definitely get that shit from Captain Solo. I definitely get that shit from Captain Solo. And it's just it's hilarious, especially when you got certain women talking shit and the full story, and they're trying to try to make it sound like there was a whole bunch of rape and pillage going on, and that there was not. See, y'all. It's just a beautiful thing to watch. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. To watch a woman try to sit there and try to make a man that treated her good out to be a piece of shit. And other people know the truth. Oh, it's just mwah. Oh, I just love it because it just exposes how full of shit some women are. But anyway, that's some side shit. But yeah, I'm done with this video. That's my video. SWP out. Don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe. Um, I have had a number of people. Let me just say this last word. I've had a number of people um, request some way to donate money. I talked about needing the new computer because, like I said, if I'm going to continue making videos, it's like, whatever. I'm investing in y'all, giving y'all this free content. It's like y'all got to invest in me if you want this to not only continue, but the increase in the quality and stuff like that. Like my shit is out of date, but I'm not gonna drop, whatever, $1,300, $1,600, $2,000 on a fucking computer, just to do this, and nobody wants to, invest or support or whatever. But I'm gonna see if